The lights flickered in the cargo bay of Station 17, wiped the sweat from her forehead and looked at her tool scanner. The old cooling systems always acted up during the night shift. She was alone in the massive storage area, surrounded by containers that reached up to the ceiling. Each one held supplies for ships traveling through this corner of space. She liked the quiet. Most people hated working alone but found peace in it. Her brother always worried about her taking these remote assignments. He would call every week from his hauler ship, asking if she was safe, if she had made friends, if she needed anything. She smiled thinking about his last message. He was such a worrier. The scanner beeped, moved to the next cooling unit and began checking the pressure levels. Station 17 was not fancy. It sat far from the major trade routes, in a region where different alien species came to do business away from government eyes. Some called it the Expanse. Others called it the Lawless Zone, called it home for now. The pay was good, and she was saving money to buy her own ship one day. A loud bang echoed through the bay, stopped working and listened. The station was old and made noise, but this was different. It sounded like metal being torn apart. She reached for her communication device, but before she could press the button, the main doors exploded inward. Creatures poured through the smoke and debris. Had seen many alien species during her time at the station, but these were new to her. They stood on four legs, their bodies covered in hard shells like insects. Their faces had too many eyes, and their mouths clicked and clacked as they moved. They carried weapons that glowed with strange energy. Everyone on the ground. One of them shouted in broken standard language. Its voice sounded like grinding metal. Dropped to her knees, her heart pounding. She counted at least 12 of these creatures spreading through the cargo bay. They were raiders. This was bad. Station 17 had minimal security. The company that owned it spent money on cargo protection, not people protection. Two of the creatures grabbed a worker near the loading dock. The man screamed as they dragged him toward the others, recognized him as an older man who worked in shipping. The raiders threw him down next to 3 other workers they had already captured. Access codes, the largest creature demanded. It seemed to be their leader. Give us the manifest system codes now. Shook his head. I don't have them, I just load boxes. Please, I don't know anything. The leader struck across the face with the back of its clawed hand. The old man fell to the floor, blood running from his mouth. Felt sick. She wanted to help, but what could she do? She was just a technician. You, the leader pointed at another worker. Codes. The young woman cried and shook her head. Supervisor has codes, not us, not us. The raiders clicked their mandibles together. It sounded like laughter. One of them grabbed the woman and started dragging her toward the computer terminal. Knew what they wanted. The manifest system held information about every shipment that came through Station 17. With those codes, raiders could track valuable cargo across the sector. Wait stood up before she could stop herself. All the creatures turned to look at her. I have access, low-level access. I can open some files. This was true. As a maintenance tech, she could see which systems needed repair, which meant she could see part of the manifest database. It was not much, but maybe it would satisfy them. Maybe they would take what they wanted and leave. The leader moved toward her. It was massive, easily 3 times her size. Up close, she could see scars across its shell and smell something like burnt metal. This creature had fought many battles. You will open all files, it said. I can only open maintenance records, replied, trying to keep her voice steady. I don't have security clearance for the rest. The creature leaned down until its face was level with hers. Too many eyes studied her. Then you are useless. No, wait, I can show you which systems store the data. You can break the encryption yourself. I can help you find the right servers. Was making it up as she went along. She just needed to buy time. The station had emergency protocols. Someone must have already sent a distress signal. The leader tilted its head. For a moment thought it might accept her offer. Then it made that clicking sound again. The other creatures joined in. They were definitely laughing. "Soft Skin thinks we are stupid," the leader said to its companions. "Thinks we do not know she is stalling." His blood turned cold. "I'm not." "Quiet," the leader raised one of its clawed hands. "You have spirit, I appreciate that, but we do not need your help. We will take the servers, we will break codes ourselves. And you are witness. We leave no witnesses." Saw the blow coming but could not move fast enough. The creature's clawed hand struck her chest with terrible force. She felt her ribs crack. The pain was instant and overwhelming. She fell backward, hitting the metal floor hard. Her vision blurred. "Pathetic," she heard the leader say. "These soft skins break so easily, like empty shells." The other creatures laughed their clicking laugh, tried to breathe but could not. Everything hurt. She could taste blood in her mouth. Her hand moved weakly toward the emergency beacon on her belt. It was a small device, standard issue for all station workers. Press it and send an automatic distress call. Her fingers found the button. She pressed it with the last of her strength. The world around her grew dark. She could hear the raiders moving through the bay, breaking open storage containers, accessing computer systems. They were not worried. They thought they had won. His last thought was of, she hoped he would not be too sad. She hoped he would understand she had tried to help. The darkness took her and she knew nothing more. On her belt, the emergency beacon activated. It sent out a signal across space, broadcasting her identification codes and biological status. The signal included one crucial piece of information that the raiders had not bothered to check. "Species human. Status deceased. Alert level maximum." The beacon's red light blinked in the darkness, a tiny warning that no one in that cargo bay understood. But somewhere in the vast emptiness of space, someone would receive that signal. Someone would see what had happened. And nothing would ever be the same again. The bridge of the human vessel Dauntless was quiet. Captain Minu sat in his command chair, reviewing supply reports with tired eyes. His ship had been patrolling the outer sectors for 3 months now. It was boring work but necessary. Someone had to keep watch over the shipping lanes. "Captain," the communications officer called out. Her name was, and she had been with Minu for 5 years. He had never heard that tone in her voice before. Fear. "What is it?" Minu stood up from his chair. "Emergency beacon, sir. Human signature. Station 17 in the Expanse." Hands moved across her console, pulling up data. "Sir, biological status shows flatline." The bridge went silent. Everyone stopped what they were doing. Minu felt something cold settle in his stomach. A human was dead. That was rare. Humans did not die easily, and they certainly did not die without someone paying attention. "Confirm that reading," Minu said quietly. "Confirmed, sir. The beacon is genuine. Identity codes, name is age 23. Cargo technician assigned to Station 17. Looked up from her screen. Sir, there is more. The beacon was activated manually. She triggered it herself before she died." Minu walked to the communications station and looked at the data himself. There it was, clear as anything. A young woman named had activated her emergency beacon, and then her heart had stopped. The timeline showed it happened less than an hour ago. "Get me the station," Minu ordered. "No response, sir. Station 17 is not answering any channels." That confirmed it. This was not an accident. Someone had attacked the station. Someone had killed a human. "Set course for Station 17. Maximum speed." Minu returned to his chair. "Alert all departments, combat stations, and someone get me Admiral on priority channel." The ship came alive with activity. Crew members rushed to their positions. The engines hummed louder as the Dauntless changed direction and accelerated. Minu had commanded this vessel for 8 years. He had faced pirates, smugglers, and all sorts of trouble, but this was different. Humanity had rules. Simple rules. One of those rules was sacred. Harm one human and you answer to all humans. It had been decades since someone was foolish enough to kill one of their kind. Whoever did this was about to learn a hard lesson. "Captain, I have Admiral," announced. The main screen showed an older man with gray hair and hard eyes. Admiral commanded the human defense fleet from his flagship. He looked like he had just woken up, but his expression was alert. "Menu, I just received the beacon alert. Tell me it is a mistake." "No mistake, sir. Human civilian dead at Station 17. Station is not responding to communication. We are en route now, maximum speed, ETA 4 hours." Was quiet for a moment, then he nodded. "Understood. I am authorizing a retribution fleet. You will have support within 12 hours. Find out who did this, Captain. Find out and hold them until we arrive." "Yes, sir." The screen went dark. Minu looked at his crew. Every face showed the same expression: anger, determination. A human had been killed and someone would answer for it. Far away, in a hidden base carved into an asteroid, the raiders celebrated their victory. They had looted Station 17 and escaped before any security forces arrived. Their cargo holds were full of valuable supplies and data cores containing shipping manifests. The captain, whose name translated roughly to Sharp Claw in standard language, examined one of the data cores with satisfaction. His raid had been perfect. Quick, brutal, efficient. Only a few workers killed, and those were necessary. No witnesses meant no descriptions of their ship or their tactics. "Commander," one of his warriors approached. "We found personal items on the bodies. Should we discard them?" "Scan them first. Personal items sometimes have value." Sharp Claw waved a clawed hand dismissively. "Then dispose of everything. I want no trace of this raid." The warrior returned to its task. Sharp Claw turned his attention to planning their next target. The expanse was rich with opportunities for those willing to take risks. Station 17 was just the beginning. An hour later, alarms began blaring throughout the base. "What now?" Sharp Claw demanded, rushing to the command center. His second-in-command, a younger named Swift Strike, was staring at a console with obvious distress. "Commander, we have a problem. A serious problem." "Explain." "I scanned the personal items from the dead workers as you ordered. One of them had an identification chip. I ran it through our database to see if she was important, maybe worth a ransom before we killed her." Swift Strike looked up, and Sharp Claw saw real fear in his eyes. "Commander, she was human." The word hung in the air like a death sentence. Sharp Claw felt his blood run cold. "Human, are you certain?" "Completely certain. Her name was, age 23, registered citizen of Earth. She was working at the station on a legal work contract." Sharp Claw rushed to the console and looked at the data himself. There was no mistake. The small, fragile creature they had killed so easily was a human, one of the death, one of the protected species. "Access our files on humans," Sharp Claw ordered, his voice shaking slightly. "Everything we have." The database pulled up information, and with each line Sharp Claw read, his fear grew deeper. Humans came from a planet called Earth, a death world where everything was designed to kill. Humans were predators, apex species on their own world. They were stronger than they looked, faster than they should be, and more durable than seemed possible. But that was not what terrified Sharp Claw. It was the cultural information. Humans had one rule that every species in the galaxy knew: harm one, face all. They did not forgive. They did not forget. They protected their own with absolute conviction. "How long ago did we kill her?" Sharp Claw asked. 2 hours, Commander." "And she was wearing an emergency beacon." "Yes, sir, standard issue." Sharp Claw felt his legs weaken. Emergency beacons sent automatic distress signals. The humans would already know one of their own was dead. They would already be coming. "Get me our diplomatic channels," Sharp Claw ordered. "We need to contact the Galactic Council. We need to explain this was a mistake. Sir, we are raiders. We have no official diplomatic channels. Sharp Claw wanted to strike his second-in-command for stating the obvious. Of course they had no diplomatic channels. They were criminals. That meant there was no official way to negotiate, no way to offer reparations, no way to explain this was all just a terrible accident. How long until human ships can reach our position? Sharp Claw asked. Swift Strike checked their navigation data. If they are coming from the nearest human patrol route, maybe 4 hours, maybe less if they have a fast ship. 4 hours, Sharp Claw made a decision. Prepare the ships, we leave immediately, full stealth protocols. We hide until this situation calms down. Sir, where do we go? Anywhere, everywhere. It does not matter, we just need to disappear. Sharp Claw began broadcasting orders to his fleet. Every ship scatters, different directions. We meet back here in 3 months when the humans have given up searching. But even as he gave the orders, Sharp Claw knew the truth. Humans did not give up. Ever. He had heard the stories. Every species in the galaxy had heard the stories. There was a reason most raiders avoided human targets. There was a reason even the most vicious pirates left human ships alone. Sharp Claw had broken that rule. He had killed a human, and now he would pay the price. On the bridge of the Dauntless, looked up from her console. Captain, we are picking up multiple engine signatures leaving an asteroid base in grid 772. They are scattering in different directions. Minyu smiled without humor. They know, track them all. I want every trajectory logged and transmitted to Fleet Command. Yes, sir. The hunt had begun. The news spread through human space like fire through dry grass. Within 6 hours of death, every human colony, station, and ship knew what had happened. A young woman working peacefully at a remote station had been murdered by raiders. They had killed her without mercy, without reason, without even knowing what she was sleeping in his bunk when his ship's computer woke him. The message was marked Priority 1, Family Emergency. His hands shook as he opened it. He read the words 3 times before they made sense. His sister was dead, killed during a raid on Station 17. Her body was still there, waiting for recovery. His co-pilot found him an hour later, sitting in the dark cargo hold, staring at nothing. Was his best friend since childhood. They had flown together for 10 years. He knew better than anyone. I heard, said quietly, I am so sorry. Did not respond. He just sat there, his sister's last message playing on his data pad. She had sent it 3 days ago, talking about her work, about the new cooling system she was installing, about maybe visiting him next month. Her face smiled at him from the screen. She looked happy. We need to change course, finally said. His voice sounded dead hollow. Already done. I plotted a route to territory while you were reading the message. Sat down next to him. Admiral is mobilizing a fleet. This is going to be official. They will handle it. I know. The military will want us to wait. They will want us to let them go in first. I know. Are we waiting? Looked at his friend, saw something in his eyes that made him understand. They were not waiting. They were not following orders. They were going to space and nothing was going to stop them. Set maximum speed, said. I want to be there before anyone else. Meanwhile, on the flagship Unity, Admiral stood in the war room surrounded by holographic displays. Each one showed a different part of the developing situation. Captain Minyu's ship was closing on Station 17. Hauler was racing toward territory, ignoring all communication attempts. And all across human space, ships were volunteering to join what was being called a retribution fleet. How many ships do we have? Asked his tactical officer. 47 and counting, sir. 3 more carriers just volunteered. We have enough firepower to level a planet. Nodded slowly. 47 ships for 1 dead civilian. But that was the human way. Attack one, face all. It did not matter if you were military or civilian, young or old, important or not. If you were human, you were family, and family protected each other. "What about the Galactic Council?" asked. His intelligence officer, Sara, stepped forward. She was young but brilliant. "They are requesting a meeting, sir. Multiple species want to discuss the situation. Some are concerned about a large human military deployment." "Concerned?" almost laughed. "Tell them we are following the Terran Protection Accords. The violated established law. We have the right to pursue justice." "Some species are worried this will escalate. They want assurances we will not start a war." Turn to look at Sara directly. "Tell them this. We did not start anything. They started it when they killed. We are just going to finish it. If they are worried about escalation, maybe they should worry less about us and more about controlling the raiders in their territories." Sora nodded and left to draft the message. Looked back at the holographic displays. He saw Station 17, damaged but intact. He saw the scattered ships trying to hide in the darkness of space. He saw his hauler, moving faster than any cargo ship should be able to move. "Get me Captain Minu," ordered. Minu's face appeared on the screen. He looked tired but determined. "Admiral." "Report." "We arrived at Station 17 10 minutes ago. The station is secure. Most of the staff survived. They are shaken but alive. We found his body in the cargo bay. Medical officer is preparing her for transport." Closed his eyes briefly. Identification confirmed. "Yes, sir, it is her. The survivors gave us detailed descriptions of the attackers. Raiders, approximately 12 individuals. They were looking for shipping manifests, tried to stall them. They killed her for it." "Do we have their trajectory?" "We tracked multiple ships leaving an asteroid base. The base is registered as a mining operation, but we know it is a raider hideout. We have coordinates." "Good, hold position at the station. The fleet will be there in 8 hours. We move together." "Sir, there is one problem. Hauler is going to reach the base before us. He is not answering our calls." Sighed, he understood what was feeling. If someone had killed his sister, he would want blood too. But this had to be done right. This had to send a message to the entire galaxy. "Do what you can to slow him down. If he reaches that base before us, he is on his own until we arrive." "Understood, sir." The screen went dark, turned to his crew. "Increase speed. I want to be at that base in 6 hours, not 8. Someone tell engineering I do not care if the engines melt. We move now." At the Galactic Council station, representatives from 100 different species gathered in emergency session. The news of a human death had reached them all. Many had seen humans at diplomatic functions. Most knew them as a peaceful but powerful species. Few had ever seen them truly angry. The ambassador, a tall reptilian creature, spoke first. "We must prevent escalation. The humans are mobilizing a war fleet. If they attack it could destabilize the entire region." "The violated the Terran Protection Accords," countered the Milos representative. "They killed a protected civilian. The humans have every legal right to respond." "Legal right, yes, but proportional response is important. One death does not justify destroying an entire raider base." An elderly ambassador from a species called the stood up. She was over 200 years old and had seen much in her life. "I was alive when humans first joined the Galactic Council," she said quietly. "I remember the debates. Many species worried about allowing death into civilized space. Do you know why we agreed?" The chamber waited for her to continue. "Because humans proved they could be civilized. They showed restraint. They showed diplomacy. But they made one thing very clear: they protect their own, always, without exception. They knew this law. Every raider in the galaxy knows this law. If you harm a human, humans will come for you. They chose to ignore this law. So we just let the humans wage war," the ambassador demanded. "We let justice happen," they replied. "And then we learned from it. Anyone who watches what happens next will think twice before harming a human again. The council chamber erupted in debate. Some species supported the humans. Others worried about setting a precedent. But several ambassadors simply sat quietly, watching the data feeds showing the growing human fleet. They understood something the others did not. This was not about justice or law or politics. This was about family. And when it came to family, humans did not compromise. Back on Station 17, medical officer worked quietly in the medical bay. His body lay on the examination table covered with a white sheet, had performed the mandatory autopsy. The cause of death was clear: massive trauma to the chest cavity, multiple broken ribs, internal bleeding. Death would have been quick but not painless. Had been a combat medic before joining the Dauntless. She had seen death many times, but this was different. This was not a soldier who knew the risks. This was a young woman who just wanted to fix cooling systems and save money for her own ship. Captain Minu entered the medical bay. "How is she?" "She is dead, Captain. There is not much else to say," pulled the sheet back over his face. "Her brother is coming, you know, will want to see her." "I know. I'm trying to reach him, but he is not listening." "Would you listen, if it was your sister?" Minu did not answer. They both knew the truth. Would reach that base and he would do what any brother would do. He would make them pay. In space, Hauler's ship crossed into territory, sat at the co-pilot station monitoring their sensors. "We have the base on long-range scan, multiple ships docked, defense systems active. This is a fortress. We cannot fight them alone." "We are not fighting them," said quietly. "I am." "What does that mean?" Did not answer. His hands moved across the controls, preparing weapons that no civilian cargo ship should have, preparing tools that he had installed years ago, just in case, preparing himself for what came next. Behind them, hours away, Admiral's fleet was coming. Justice was coming, but would be there first, and they were about to learn why you never, ever hurt a human's family. The base was carved deep into an asteroid. From the outside, it looked like an abandoned mining facility, but inside it held barracks, armories, docking bays, and command centers. Sharp Claw had spent years building this fortress. He had believed it was safe, hidden, untouchable. Now he stood in the command center, watching his sensor screens with growing dread. A single ship was approaching. Just one. Not the massive human fleet he feared. One cargo hauler moving fast and direct, not even trying to hide. "Is it a scout ship?" Swift Strike asked. "Possibly, or a fool." Sharp Claw studied the readings. The ship's signature matched a standard human cargo hauler. Nothing special, nothing dangerous. But why would a cargo ship come here alone? "Should we fire on it, Commander?" Sharp Claw considered. If this was a human military vessel disguised as a hauler, destroying it would bring the full fleet down on them even faster. But if they let it approach, it might gather intelligence on their defenses. "Hail them," Sharp Claw ordered. "Demand identification." The communication channel opened, but the response was not what he expected. A human face appeared on the screen. Young, male. His eyes burned with something Sharp Claw recognized from his warrior days. Rage, pure, focused rage. "I am," the human said in perfect standard language. "You killed my sister. Her name was. I am here to collect what you owe." Sharp Claw felt his blood freeze. This was not a scout. This was family. The dead human's brother had come alone ahead of any fleet driven by vengeance. "This is a mistake," Sharp Claw said, trying to sound reasonable. "We can negotiate. We did not know she was human. It was an accident." "You will let me dock," continued as if Sharp Claw had not spoken. "You will lower your shields. If you do this, I will only kill those responsible. If you fight, I will kill everyone." Swift Strike laughed. "Commander, he is one human on a cargo ship. Let him come. We will capture him and use him as a hostage when the fleet arrives." Sharp Claw was not so sure. Something about the human's calm voice worried him. "Prepare all security teams. I want 50 warriors waiting when he docks. Do not harm him unless he attacks first. If we can capture him alive, we might have leverage." The cargo hauler docked at the main bay. 50 warriors stood ready, weapons charged and aimed at the airlock door. Sharp Claw watched through security cameras, his claws tapping nervously on his console. The airlock door opened. Stepped through wearing simple cargo clothes and carrying no visible weapons. He looked at the 50 armed warriors pointing weapons at him and showed no fear at all. "Which one of you is Sharp Claw?" he asked. "I am," Sharp Claw answered through the communication system. "You are surrounded, human. Surrender now and you will not be harmed." "Come down here," said. "Face me yourself, or are you a coward who only kills defenseless women?" Several warriors clicked their mandibles in anger at the insult. Sharp Claw felt rage build in his chest, but also caution. This human was trying to provoke him. There had to be a reason. "Shoot him in the legs," Sharp Claw ordered. "Disable but do not kill." 3 warriors fired their energy weapons. The shots were perfectly aimed, designed to cripple without killing. But moved. He moved faster than any creature that size should be able to move. The energy bolts hit the wall behind where he had been standing. Then attacked. His hands moved to his belt and came up holding weapons that had been hidden under his clothes. Small blades, sharp and deadly. He threw them with perfect accuracy. 3 warriors fell, blades buried in vulnerable spots in their armor. The bay erupted into chaos. Warriors fired their weapons but was never where they aimed. He moved like water flowing between their attacks, always moving forward. More blades flew. More warriors fell. Sharp Claw watched in horror as this single human tore through his fighters like they were nothing. He had heard stories about death in combat. Now he was seeing it with his own eyes. The human was not just fast. He was efficient. Every movement had purpose. Every attack was lethal. "Seal the bay," Sharp Claw shouted. "Lock him in there." But had already reached the bay door controls. He placed something on the panel, a small device that sparked with electricity. The doors opened fully instead of closing. "He is heading for the interior," Swift Strike reported. "Commander, he is coming for you. Send everyone, all warriors, stop him." Inside the base, moved through corridors he had memorized from stolen schematics, was back on the ship, feeding him tactical data through a hidden communication device in his ear. His friend's voice was calm and professional despite the chaos. 20 warriors coming from your left, next junction." Dropped to one knee and placed a small device on the floor. When the warriors rounded the corner, it exploded in a flash of light and sound. They stumbled, blinded and deafened, moved through them like a ghost. More blades, more death. He felt nothing. His mind was clear, focused. These creatures had killed. They had struck her down like she was nothing. Now they would learn what that cost. His voice came through the communication device. "The fleet just arrived in system. Captain Menu is demanding you withdraw immediately." "Not yet. You are going to die in there." "Maybe, but so are they." Reached the armory and placed explosive charges on the door. The blast tore through the metal, and he entered to find 5 warriors inside scrambling for weapons. They never got the chance to use them. More corridors, more warriors. Some tried to fight. Some tried to flee. It did not matter. Hunted them all with cold efficiency. He was hurt now, cuts, burns, bruises, but pain meant nothing. He was death world born and raised. His body could endure more than these creatures could imagine. He found Sharp Claw in the command center with Swift Strike and 10 elite guards. They had barricaded the door and set up defensive positions. Sharp Claw held a hostage. One of his own wounded warriors pressed against his chest like a shield. "Stop," Sharp Claw demanded. "Stop or I will kill him." Paused at the doorway. Blood dripped from cuts on his arms. His breathing was heavy but controlled. He looked at Sharp Claw with those burning eyes. "You think I care about your warrior?" asked. "You killed an innocent woman, a civilian who did nothing to you, and now you hide behind your own soldier." "We did not know she was human," Sharpclaw screamed. "It was a mistake, a mistake. She begged you to stop. She tried to help. You killed her anyway." Raised his last weapon, a small human pistol. "You know what she did before she died. She pressed her emergency beacon. She made sure we would know. She made sure someone would come. Please, we can make reparations. We can pay." The gunshot echoed in the command center. Sharpclaw's hostage fell dead, had shot through the warrior to hit Sharpclaw behind him. The raider commander collapsed, ichor leaking from the wound in his chest. The elite guards attacked all at once, fought them hand to hand now, his weapons empty. He was strong, faster than they expected, more durable, but he was also 1 against 10. They brought him down through sheer numbers, claws tearing at him, weapons striking his body. Then the wall exploded inward. Captain Minu and a team of human marines stormed through the breach, weapons ready. They had cut through the base's outer hull and forced entry. Behind them came more marines, and behind them, Admiral himself. The guards dropped their weapons immediately. They knew when they were beat. Rushed to his side. He was badly wounded but alive. She started emergency treatment while he fought to stay conscious. "You stupid, stubborn fool," Minu said, kneeling next to him. "You almost got yourself killed." "Did I get him?" asked weakly. "Did I get Sharpclaw?" "You got him, he is dead." Nodded and let himself close his eyes. Justice for. Admiral stood in the ruined command center, surveying the damage one human had done. Over 30 warriors dead. Their commander dead. Their fortress breached. All because they had killed one young woman. He activated his communicator. "This is Admiral to all vessels in the area. Your commander is dead. Your base is captured. Surrender now or be destroyed." One by one, the ships powered down their weapons. The hunt was over. The message was sent. And every species watching would remember this day. They would remember what happened when you killed a human. They would remember, and they would never forget. The medical bay on the Unity smelled of antiseptic and bandages. Lay in a recovery bed, his body wrapped in healing wraps and connected to monitoring equipment. Had worked on him for 6 hours, repairing damage that would have killed most species. Broken ribs, deep cuts, burns, internal bleeding. But he was alive. He would survive. Sat beside the bed, watching his friend sleep. They had been through many things together, but nothing like this. He had watched through the ship's cameras as fought his way through the base like a force of nature. It was terrifying and amazing at the same time. "How is he?" Captain Minu asked, entering the medical bay quietly. "Says he will make full recovery, might take a few weeks." Looked up at the captain. "Are we in trouble for going in without authorization?" Minu smiled slightly. "Officially, yes. Unofficially, Admiral understands. He told me that if someone killed his sister, he would have done the same thing, maybe worse." "What happens now?" "Now we finish what we started. The prisoners are being transported to the Galactic Council for trial. Their base has been dismantled, and we send home." At those words, eyes opened. He looked around the medical bay, his eyes focusing slowly. "Where is she? Where is?" "She is on the ship," Minu said gently. "In a stasis chamber. We are taking her home to Earth to be buried with your family." Tried to sit up but winced in pain. "I want to see her. I need to see her." Appeared from her office. "No, you need to rest. Your body has been through extreme trauma. If you move too much, you will tear the healing tissue." "I do not care. Take me to her, please." Looked at Captain Minu, who nodded. Together they helped into a wheelchair and took him to the cargo bay where stasis chamber waited. It was a clear container designed to preserve bodies for long-distance transport. Inside looked peaceful, like she was sleeping. Reached out and touched the chamber's surface. Tears rolled down his face. "I am sorry I was not there. I should have protected you." "This was not your fault," said softly. "You could not have known. She was my little sister. It was my job to keep her safe." They stood there in silence for a long time. Finally, Minyu spoke. "She did everything right. When those raiders came, she tried to protect the other workers. She stalled them. She tried to help. And when she knew she was going to die, she pressed her beacon to make sure someone would know. She was brave. She was a hero." Nodded, unable to speak. Across the galaxy, in the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, Admiral stood before representatives from hundreds of species. He wore his full dress uniform, medals gleaming on his chest. Behind him, screens showed footage from Station 17, from the base, from the entire incident. "I am here to make a statement," said clearly. "Not a request, not a negotiation, a statement of fact." The chamber was completely silent. A human civilian named was murdered by raiders while working peacefully at Station 17. She was 23 years old. She was saving money to buy her own ship. She had dreams and plans and people who loved her. They killed her without cause, without mercy, and without even knowing what she was. Let his words hang in the air. "Some of you have expressed concern about humanity's response. You worried we were too aggressive, too violent, that we overreacted." He paused. "Let me be very clear, this was not an overreaction. This was the minimum response required by our laws and our values. One of our own was killed. We responded. That is not negotiable. That is not debatable. That is simply how we are." The ambassador stood up. "Admiral, we understand your anger, but killing 30 warriors and a commander for one death seems excessive." "Does it?" Looked directly at the. "Tell me, Ambassador, if raiders attacked your home world and killed your child, what would you do? Would you negotiate? Would you offer them a chance to pay a fine? Or would you hunt them down and make sure they never hurt anyone again?" The sat down without answering. "Humanity has been part of this council for 60 years, continued. "In that time we have been peaceful neighbors, we have traded fairly, we have resolved disputes diplomatically, we have proven we can be civilized. But we have also been very clear about our one absolute rule: we protect our own. Everyone in this chamber knows this rule. Every species in the galaxy knows this rule. They knew this rule and chose to ignore it." The ambassador stood, her ancient voice carrying across the chamber. "What does humanity want from this council?" "Justice, accountability, and new protections," gestured to the screens. "What happened to should never happen to anyone from any species. Raiders like the operate in lawless regions because we allow them to exist, because we do not enforce the laws we already have." "You want us to crack down on all raiders?" the Milos representative asked. "I want every species to take responsibility for criminals operating from their territory. I want protection for all civilians working in remote areas. I want raiders to know that if they attack anyone, human or not, there will be consequences." Pulled out a data pad. "We have drafted a proposal. We call it the Accords. It establishes universal protection for all civilian workers, mandatory emergency beacons for anyone in remote areas, and a joint task force to hunt down raiders who violate these protections." The chamber erupted in discussion. Some species supported the idea immediately. Others worried about the cost, about enforcement, about sovereignty. But none of them could argue with the principle. What happened to should not happen again. The ambassador called for order. "We will review these accords carefully, but I believe humanity has shown us all something important today. They have shown us that strength without compassion is cruelty, but compassion without strength is weakness. Humanity has both. They protect the innocent with absolute conviction. That is not something to fear. That is something to admire." The vote took 3 hours. In the end, the accords passed with overwhelming support. New protections, new enforcement, new cooperation between species to keep civilians safe. When Admiral returned to the Unity, his crew stood and saluted. He had done what he came to do: justice for, protection for everyone else. 2 weeks later, a ceremony was held on Earth. Thousands of humans gathered to honor her memory. Her family was there, including who stood with the help of a cane, still recovering from his wounds. Captain Minu and the crew of the Dauntless attended. Admiral gave a speech. So did representatives from a dozen other species who had come to pay respects. A young alien child watched the ceremony with her parent. She was from a species called the small and peaceful people who had been targeted by raiders before. "Why are there so many humans here?" the child asked. "Did they all know?" "No, little one. Most of them never met her." "Then why are they sad?" The parent thought carefully about how to explain. "Humans believe they are all connected. They call it being human. When one of them is hurt, they all feel pain. When one of them dies, they all mourn. It makes them strong." "Are humans scary?" The parent looked at the gathering, at the thousands of humans standing together in grief and solidarity. "They can be, but only if you hurt someone they care about. And humans care about everyone they consider their own. That is why you should never hurt a human, because if you hurt one, all of them will come for you." The child watched as they lowered his casket into the ground. Flowers were placed, words were spoken, and every human there made a silent promise this would not happen again. They would protect each other, always. On the Unity in his private quarters, Admiral recorded a final message for the military archives. "Today we honored, tomorrow we continue our mission, to protect, to serve, to ensure that no human ever dies alone and unavenged. This is our duty, this is our promise, and this is who we are." He sent the message and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, raiders and criminals were hearing the story of what happened to the. They were learning the lesson. They were understanding the price. And they would remember, they would all remember. Because humanity had shown them the truth. You can attack their ships, challenge their territory, even fight their military. But if you harm one innocent human, one civilian just trying to live their life, you would face something far worse than weapons or warships. You would face their wrath. You would face their justice. You would face their absolute, unbreakable determination to protect their own. That was the message sent across the galaxy that day. That was what the Accords really meant. Not just new laws and protections, but a reminder to every species in the stars. Humans were peaceful. Humans were reasonable. Humans were good neighbors and fair traders and valuable allies. But humans were also family, and family protected family, always, without exception, without mercy for those who broke that sacred trust. The galaxy had learned that lesson, and they would never forget it. In a cemetery on Earth, a simple marker stood over his grave. It read, "Beloved sister, brave soul, her memory protects us all." And it was true. Because of her death, millions of civilians across the galaxy would be safer. Because of her sacrifice, the Accords would protect workers in remote stations for generations to come. She had wanted to buy a ship and see the stars. She had wanted to explore and adventure and live free. She never got that chance, but she had given that chance to countless others, and humanity would make sure her name was never forgotten. The galaxy had learned why you never hurt a human, and that lesson would echo across the stars for all time.